room tonight. All of our events this year have sold out, so it's been really fun. I'm Essie. I'm the founder of Products That Count. We've been doing that for a couple of years, and one of the things that sets us apart is that every month we invite somebody who's a C-level, exec level at one of the hot tech companies, and they share something that they have never shared before. And tonight it's even more true than usual because Merci has created an entirely new talk. But before I get into that, I want to tell you a couple of things. One, a few months ago, I wrote a book, Mobilized. It's a bestseller. My publisher reached out last week and said we are close to having sold 10,000 copies. So I'm very excited about that. We've sold the rights to have the book published in Chinese in China, and that's going to be exciting. And also one piece of news I want to share with you. You probably have seen it if you get our newsletter. Is I just joined a venture firm, and so if you have companies that you want to send my way for evaluation, we are not the first money in. Our sweet spot is like follow-on seed, Series A, and we invest in local companies. But feel free to contact me with any company that you think is worth me spending the time to look at. Now, one thing I want to say is these events, they would not be possible without our sponsor, Yelp. And Yelp provides us with this gorgeous space with the food and the beer, and they've been with us from day one. And day one looked very different than what today looks. Day one, we didn't have the best speakers, we didn't have the big audience. The big audience, by the way, to give you some numbers, we've grown from 0 2 years ago to now over 13,000 people on our mailing list. All of our events sell out, and tonight's event has over 150 people on the wait list. So, yes, so you made it in. But anyway, so our sponsor, Yelp, do we have someone from the Yelp crew who wants to say a few words? I'm not seeing anybody. Okay, so I'll say what they usually say, which is they're hiring. And they're hiring everyone, engineers, data scientists, designers, products, and more. It's a great team to work with. We've been working with them for a really long time. They are super cool, super fun. If you want to, apply, if you're interested, there's a team in the back who will take your information, or you can just talk to me. Like usually we have somebody, so I'm a little startled that we don't have anyone today. But anyway, so that's that. And now I'm going to introduce Merci. So Merci and I, we met relatively recently. She was introduced to me because she's doing some really cool stuff. So not only does she run growth at Slack, which is the fastest growing company on the planet right now, so that's a lot thanks to her, but also she created some women in product organizations. She's blogging on Medium. She's very active in the community. And when we started talking about what she would be sharing today, she said, well, I want to talk about what it is to bring new users in all the time, right? You can imagine at Slack, that's basically like their job. Like, how do we make sure that people come in, because they come in such quantities, that we onboard them successfully? So I'm very excited to hear her perspective on constantly beginning.
Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me okay? Hi. Can you guys hear me in the back? Okay, awesome. So I'm Merci. Follow me on Twitter if you want to read retweets about crazy shit that Donald Trump has said. I'm good for that. I come in peace. I am the head of growth at Slack. And I'll begin with a little bit about me. So this is a photo of me. I am this little unpainted white dude. I did 107 damage to that fire elemental a few days ago, so I'm really feeling good about my accomplishments right now. I played a lot of Dungeons & Dragons which is what this game is, in high school and college. We have a campaign that's been running for over a year at Slack. At Cal, one of the founders and I are both in it. It is great fun. I graduated from USC in 2006 with that really sought-after degree of creative writing. So my parents very excited about that. I think my dad is actually watching on the Facebook live stream, so shout out. About a year after graduating from college, I had a very strange opportunity to found a game company. I had been working on this art project / game called The Nethernet, which is still on Wikipedia if anyone wants to Google it right now. It was very strange. We were doing social games before Facebook was a thing. And I had a job working at a film production company in Los Angeles called Bad Robot, who have continued to also do good work, like Star Trek most recently. And a venture capitalist had played our game and talked with some of the people who were thought leaders who were really into how weird this new game was. And he said, hey, 22-year-old Mercy, you want $500,000 to start your own company? And I was like, yes, I do. Thank you. That would be amazing. And so I didn't have the sort of, apart from prototyping and bootstrapping for the first year, I didn't have a very brutal seed or anything like that. We went on to raise an A, and then around 2009, when the venture world was starting to fall apart, just a little bit, fraying at the edges, my company was starting to run out of money. We weren't making any money, and certainly not the big money that games are expected to make on Facebook, and especially at that time, and then later on mobile. So we shut it down. I had to lay off the entire team, which was really brutal. And then I went to work at Electronic Arts, and I designed and produced The Sims Social, which was the Facebook version of The Sims, which was a really fun and unique opportunity. Then I started getting into consumer and enterprise regular products on the internet, mobile and desktop. And then in early 2015, met back up with Stuart Butterfield, the CEO of Slack. He and I were part of Game Founders Anonymous, where we go and we cry and we talk about all our failed games and the games that we never made and still want to make. And he offered me the opportunity to become the new user experience product manager at Slack. And then we grew growth out of that. So today I'm going to talk about Slack's approach to growth, which I think is a little bit different than many companies, something that we call tactical empathy. And then we're also going to nerd out, and this is the really new thing. We've developed this new part of our product process that I'm going to share with everyone here today. I was going to write something on Medium, but I figured this would actually be a really good use of it. I'm going to try to not take too much time just talking at you, and then leave some time for questions. So Slack's approach to growth is, first and foremost, that of engaging new users who come to the service. A lot of growth teams are born out of marketing teams. Ours was born out of a product team that was focused on a new experience. So we think about this very holistically. We have a team that's doing the super top of the funnel for us, so marketing and ads. My team gets team creators and people when they join a team, and we take them through what we hope to be a really holistic experience that's focused on human beings who are using the service to do work. And we're always trying to improve the totality of that experience. So we are thinking about it and wanting people to have a really seamless experience from the very beginning when you're first speaking with Slackbot, through learning how to use the product, and then switching over to a mobile phone, and then back to the desktop. Since our product provides long-term value to people, and we want people to use it for years and years, the metrics that we're concerned about are really downstream metrics. This is obviously not the case for all products, and there are a lot of products that are really great where you can get value out of the product in the first 10 minutes of using it, and that's what it is there for. For us, things like this one weird trick really don't work because we're focused on something that is further down the chain. And as a part of that, what we're trying to do is make something that begins off as a pretty simple, easy to understand experience and then unfolds over time. This goes back to games quite a lot and is deeply influenced by that. Stuart and I are both former game designers, and a lot of people who work at the company had spent some time in games. So if you think about something like Mario, which I'm sure literally everyone here has played, you first learn to walk, and then you learn to jump, and then you learn to jump over a chasm. And by the time you have done those things, you're a good 3 or 4 minutes into the game. And that whole time, you're doing what we would say on the web is something like onboarding, right? I'm teaching you how to do this. But in your mind, you're playing the game. And I think the best new user experiences are ones that unfold organically, where you don't feel like, now I'm at the beginning of this thing, and then I have swiped through these slides, and now I know what you want me to know about your product, and now we're done. But it's also important to be able to run small experiments that you think are going to give you value later down the chain. We do this, we have a list of behavioral drivers that we go off of that are pretty common things that a lot of people who run growth know. So something like social nudging, when you get friends to add other people. There's something that I like to call FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. And everyone's seen this on Facebook, who are the super, it's the empire of FOMO, where they are saying, oh, hey, Alan just tagged a photo of you and Stacy, and you're like, I'm going to go look at that photo right now. So we want to do this at the same time that we're making these bigger bets, and threading together those small optimizations and little experiments into a holistic experience for the people who are using it is something that requires a fair amount of effort and really a constant attention to what it feels like to be someone who's using it for the first time. So obviously that's a lot of big talk. For those of you who use Slack and have been through creating or joining a team, we are 1% of the way there. We say this at Slack a lot. We're 1% of the way toward our ultimate goal as a company, and I feel that this is very true, especially on growth. I'm going to be critical of some of the things that we've done. Stuart has famously said, and he's been quoted in the press, so I feel okay saying this to you, Slack is a piece of shit, but you're all doing a wonderful job. And I think that being critical of your own work is really important. No one ever picks up, Instagram or something like that and goes through creating an account and is like, oh, look at that animation, that was so beautiful. Oh, this input field is so error resistant, But we do that to our own work because we want to feel good about what we do, and we want to mirror that to our colleagues and give them a feeling of doing well. And you can be in that kind of sync with the people that you work with and feel like you have purpose and joy in your work without just patting yourself on the back. But it's pretty hard not to do that. And this process of learning how to understand the world from someone else's perspective is what we call empathy. And empathy is a thing at Slack. We mention it a lot in our press articles. It is one of our core values, the corest of the core values. And the actual practice of empathy is very challenging work. It takes up a lot of glucose in your brain in order to see the world from someone else's perspective. And unless you build time for that into your product development process, you're not going to be able to do it. It's your brain is going to veer away from doing anything that takes a little bit too much glucose. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what I mean by empathy, which I think is actually a very misunderstood thing. So I think a lot of people, when they say empathy, are referring to a feeling of sympathy, where you feel connected to people around you, and you feel like you get them, and they get you, and it's vibing well. But that's not actually what empathy is. Empathy is being able to understand someone else, and especially in product development, I think it's then being able to use that understanding of other people to imagine what they might think or do. I can't give enough shout-outs to this book, Never Split the Difference. This guy, Chris Voss, wrote Never Split the Difference, Negotiating as if your life depended on it. He was the lead international hostage negotiation expert for the FBI for a couple of decades, and he's the person who I got this tactical empathy idea from. Definitely I'll go and read that book. It includes a lot of things, but I think this description of the difference between empathy and sympathy is incredibly key. So Stuart says it in a different way. Pretend you're a human being. And he'll say this to your face during a product review. Doesn't feel great the first time that it happens. And he'll say often when he's irritated with some foundational decision that you made that was absolutely wrong, close your eyes, and you're like, I don't want to close my eyes. He's like, close your eyes. And you're like, oh God, why is this happening to me? Pretend you're a human being. And when you hear that for the first time, it can feel weird because you're like, but I am a human being. I'm standing right in front of you. But what he actually means is pretend that you're a specific human being. So how I explain this to PMs who join Slack is pretend that you're Jose and you had a fight with your wife, Maria, last night. And then you're driving through traffic and it's hairier than usual. And you get to your job and you sit down at your desk and your asshole boss is harping on you about getting him the Higgins file. And you have about 10 seconds to do that before he really starts to lay into you. And then you open your eyes and you look at the UI that you're presenting and you're saying, if I'm in that kind of a mode, am I going to be able to easily pick out the Higgins file or see the UI affordance to get to the information that I need? So setting up this context and then being able to deploy it is really what pretend you're a human being means. Oh, and it's so exhausting to do this. Oh my God. If we were able to do this really well, there would be peace on Earth. Damn, is there not peace on Earth? Especially not lately. But in order to do this effectively, especially with your customers, you need to build time into doing it. One of the things that we do on the growth team that has been really impactful is we buddy up. So an engineer and a designer or an engineer and a PM are usually the people who sit down together and go through start to finish the process of creating a team, and they go through onboarding. What has been really great to see is that they'll go really far in the pretend you're a human being path. So people will get together and say, okay, we work at Busy Bee. We're a wedding invitation service. I'm the designer, you're the PM, and we heard about Slack and now we want to go use it. Our users at this point have a lot of intent when they come to slack.com to create or join a team. And so it's also important to us that we're not giving ourselves sort of a false bar to meet, which is no one has heard of this and you're really starting from ground zero. We are lucky enough that that is not our problem right now. Our problem is taking people who have some interest and getting them really engaged and critically teaching them how to use what is actually a pretty complex product. So these questions, if I didn't know whatever it is that I'm looking at, would this make any goddamn sense to me? And do I have enough information to make this decision? This is a part of our product. I took a screenshot of this yesterday. A lot of people, shout out to our incredible user research team, come to Slack because someone on their team said, oh, hey, we're using Slack now. Just go to slack.com and sign up. And then they might end up on a page like this. Would they be able to do anything with this? The answer is likely no. And this is one of the pages of the product that we'll hopefully be fixing relatively soon. There's every time that we fix something like this, which we refer to as the worst part of Slack, we then find some other thing that is the new worst part of Slack. So we fixed the last worst part of Slack, and to me, this page is still really the worst part of Slack. And I also wanted to give a little shout out to diversity. So I'm just hitting the high notes of Slack and the things that we're known for. So obviously empathy, and we've been in the press quite a bit for having a really diverse workforce. The growth team, for instance, is about 50% people of color and 46% women of the 25 to 30 people who work on it. Our engineering team, thanks. Our engineering team is 60% people of color and 33% women. And I think that this is really important. The reason why people say that diverse teams build stronger products is that you are constantly in the position of strengthening your empathy and relating to people who are not like you. Since empathy is exhausting to do, but your brain gets better at doing things over time and you can build a habit of doing it, you can get into the habit of, instead of reacting to someone, seeking to understand them first. And if you're constantly working with people who are not like you, they're a different race, they're a different gender, you haven't worked at any of the same companies, you majored in computer science, they majored in philosophy, you are able to get to a point where your first reaction to someone is to try to understand them. And this is part of the reason that I think that working at Slack has actually made me a better person, which is a weird thing to say about a company, but it has trained me out of being on Twitter and someone saying something snarky, and I'm like, I'm going to tell you. That's like a terrible reaction to have. And I haven't done that in a long time. Probably. Cool. And I wanted to nerd out about some product stuff. So we have been doing a pretty standard product development process. This can be different depending on what part of, like how big a thing it is that you're building. You might spend quite a bit of time on a tech spec for something that's really deeply technical, build and iterate. We release internally to our Slack, which, as you might imagine, is crazy different from the Slacks that other people use, which is part of the reason that it's so important for us to continue to use the publicly released product. You iterate a little bit more, and then you release, and then the postmortem comes. You're like, what went well, and what didn't? I'm just like, in every one of these meetings, I'm like, why did we do it that way? We could have done so much better if only we had thought of that before we got to this point. So now we do something that I call pre-mortems. Disclaimer, I'm terrible at naming things. The first name of the game that I did at Game Layers was called the Passively Multiplayer Online Game, or PMOG. It's real catchy. Don't let me name anything, but I guess it doesn't really matter what this is named because that is what it is. And in the process, you start building, and you build for a couple of weeks, really so you get your hands into it and you know what the problem actually looks like. I mean, specs are one thing, and as a lifelong PM, we'll start building it, and then we'll sort of see exactly what this ended up being like. And you get your team together, and you will be absolutely surprised at what you discover. So you come together and you say, what will go wrong? I've been socializing this with a couple of friends who have companies. A friend of mine did this for a big kind of meaty project, and they realized that everyone on their team was deeply overloaded. They needed to really significantly cut back what they were working on, and that a couple of the high-level people were going to be on vacation at the same time. And they would not have discovered all of this without really trying to look into the future and seeing, oh, what will go wrong? Oh, this guy is actually going to be out at the time that we need to release this thing, and then that person's out right after them. At Slack, I unfortunately can't show you what it was that this related to. It was the second premortem that we ever did. But we had started building a product. We were a couple of weeks into it, fresh off of our first premortem, and we're like, this is good. We should start doing this. We canceled that project in that meeting. When we were going through the experience, going from the clickable prototype and back into the main product, and realizing that the experience that we would have spent a long time building and maybe even released before we realized that this would be a pretty disjointed experience was in fact going to be a disjointed experience. Yeah, sure. I have time for questions at the end. You want to save it? Okay. And it's important to have an opinion about this, so you're not trying to make people feel good. Or, I mean, a lot of postmortems, especially in kind of toxic environments, end up being these weirdly political meetings, right? And you're like, well, you did a good job, and this was terrible, and you want to assign blame to make yourself feel better about something that didn't work out. And people don't have enough sort of skin in the game at this point. They've only been building it for a couple of weeks, or depending on your release schedule, a couple of days. And so you can really get ahead of the ego in that case. Involving the live team, involving everyone is really important, the team that's building it, but the people who will be supporting this. So we have people from our customer experience team. When we build paid products, we have sales engineers in there. These people know so many things that you don't know. They're talking to customers every single day, and they're incredibly helpful in this. So I did bring you an example because we have publicly released this. I would say don't be too harsh, but that's actually not the point of doing this. So we released something that we call Slackbot Help internally, which, again, terrible at naming things. But this is the ability for Slackbot to answer simple questions about Slack. Slackbot does not know much. It's just a bot. But we wanted this to be a continuation of the onboarding experience. So you talk to Slackbot, and then you see some coach marks. And then we wanted you to be able, hopefully you still even have your fingers on the keyboard and then you go into being able to ask questions of Slackbot. So our intentions were good, and this is not AI, this is not anything cool. We have some pre-programmed answers based on keywords, and if Slackbot doesn't have a response to them, it'll query our help center and try to find you some good links, and if it can't, it'll just fail. And we got pretty caught up in the idea of a graceful, fun, delightful fail, because that's how we try to fail at Slack. If you've seen our 404 page, which is a thing from the game Glitch, because you found a glitch and it's so cute. But then we saw that there were people, like we were whispering and wondering together about, what if people are going to get the wrong impression of this and be really frustrated by the experience? And we live in heady bot times now as well. Facebook Messenger, around the same time, had released their bot platform, and people were sharing their very strong opinions on Twitter, because that is absolutely what Twitter is for. And so we had been sort of whispering about this. Transparency is also a thing at Slack, so anytime there's weird whispering and people are DMing about stuff, and a couple of engineers had DM'd me with a sphere, said, okay, let's get together and let's actually talk about everything that we think could go wrong, which is how we came up with this pre-mortem idea. We discovered it's really hard to set expectations with conversational UI. You don't have any of the affordances or error messages or indications to the users that they consciously and unconsciously pick up around where the edge of this thing is. And in failing in cute and funny ways, we realized that you would often, in the first version that we built, have a conversation with Slackbot. I was like, Slackbot would say, can I help you with anything? You'd be like, hey, and it'd be like, hi. And you would go back and forth with some pleasantries until Slackbot just totally keeled over. And you're like, why isn't it working anymore? And we felt a really terrible experience. We wouldn't have confronted this with the intent to try to break it ourselves in the way that we did if we hadn't sat together and said, okay, what is going to go wrong? How is this going to fall in on itself? But yet, I took this from Twitter. Shout out to this dude who had this hilarious conversation with Slackbot. And poor Slackbot is really trying to help him. You said calls. Can I call you Todd? I'm going to call you Todd. People are always going to try to break things, and where we ended up was we're just going to try to fail in a blunt way, which is not something that we really ever try to do at Slack, but we ended up doing it here because we had early on identified this as such a risk. And I think also being self-aware that you're not going to get it perfect, and that the expectation is not perfection. The expectation is continuing to learn will really go a long way, because we're trying. And now you can ask that question. Yeah, you're the guy.
The idea of free. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's saying, I feel like I should repeat the question. Every PRD has a section for risks and dependencies, and I absolutely agree with you. I have never done anything more than just write those down, and I haven't actually gone back to look at them, right? Because you're like, we're so smart. We first of all know all the risks and dependencies up front before you start building, which I don't think is actually true. You need to really start building and get to a little prototype probably and begin to really start engaging with the product before you really know what those risks and dependencies are. And often PRDs are a reflection of one PM and what they think. And part of the point is to get everyone together, including people who have nothing to do with product development, to see what they think the risks and dependencies are. Yeah.
Beautiful, but because
inappropriate.
Very human. You're one of the most human speakers I've actually heard.
Oh, I am a human. Thank you.
So you talk about empathy as a strategic principle. What are some of the tactics that you use to find empathy?
So among our customers, one of the things, and Ali Rail, who is our director of customer experience, I think piloted this program, and it's a big deal at Slack now, is everyone does support. So regardless of what your role is at Slack, you spend 2 hours a day in Zendesk answering our customers' questions. It also turns out this is a great way to learn more about the product. When I first started, I had forced the team that I had worked with at my last company to use Slack, and I came in feeling like I had a pretty good idea of all of the complexities of the product, and boy, was I wrong. And in my first week, where you do a little bit more than your average weekly shift, and especially product managers for whom it's vital to learn what customers actually think, you get in there and you're like, is that a feature? And it's broken? And you're like, no way! And then you're in Zendesk and you're educating yourself about the product, and you're learning to speak in the Slack voice of courtesy and respect. And you're also learning what it feels like to be on the customer experience team. So you are deeply incented, because you're going to be answering those angry tickets. You're deeply incented to also align your interests with those of our CE team who support all of our products. Yeah, engineers do it as well. Yeah. 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 So his question is, Slack is a relatively new product. How are you going to keep your empathy as you grow and you build up tech debt and the product becomes more complex? I think that will be a big challenge for us, for sure. It is something that's deeply core to the way that the company runs, right? Everyone is actually in there spending their real time, their valuable engineering hours answering these tickets and actively building that empathy. We have a couple of mobile apps that are pretty different. And one of the things that drives me fucking nuts about Silicon Valley in general is that we live in this white tower of usability where we're on our baller cinema displays. They're not called that anymore, right? You're on your huge, Mac displays and your really powerful Mac computer. And you're like, I don't know what they're talking about. It works for me. The rest of the world is using Windows and Android. And if you are not using Windows and Android, so PMs take shifts using a Windows machine for this very reason, then you do not know what it's like to be someone else. And that's one of the ways, and I think we'll come up with ongoing ways to scale that sort of thing. But that's absolutely going to be a challenge. Yeah. So I don't think I can talk about particular experiments that are all pretty fresh and running in the darkness of night. But one of the things that we did that was a huge mistake that I would urge you never to do is last summer we revamped in one go the entirety of team creation and onboarding, and we launched a new website at the same time because we're like, this is a great idea. And while we're at it, let's start our ad campaign and drive a lot of new people into it too. As you can imagine, we learned a lot from that. Just kidding, we learned almost nothing because it's impossible to learn if you don't set up experiments well and if you're not isolating variables. So, total noob mistake, but I made it. Please don't make it yourselves. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he is saying Slack is an enterprise product. Yeah, well, mostly people pay us to use it at companies. But we have growth that looks like viral consumer growth, and that's absolutely the case. We do now have a sales team. We hired a VP of sales, so we are starting to look at that part of the market as well, which needs a very different type of deployment and contract negotiation, all of the things that you think of when you think of enterprise software. For us, I think one of the things that worked is the product is free, and then you have to have people around you to use it, but you are in a closed environment of a Slack team, and it is not something, it is something that feels consumery, and it feels playful and easy, and I think that, hugely speaks to Stuart's very significant product design chops. The other thing that they did, and I think he has talked about this in the press, is their launch strategy was getting it in front of people really early on and getting it in front of the type of people who could really benefit from using it. So a lot of journalists began using it because they are doing, real-time updates to the New York Times, and they have really significant deadlines. So being able to have a synchronous chat is something that's really important to them. Yeah. For the growth team at Slack? Yeah. She's asking what our roadmap for growth is. I have to applaud you for for asking that ballsy of a question. That's great. I can't really speak to specific things that we're doing, but I can talk to the parts of the product that are not up to our quality par, and making much bigger strides in our mobile and user experience is going to be really big for us. Right now, if you create a team on an Android or iOS device, there's almost no onboarding, there's no conversation with Slackbot, there's very little to tell you what the hell it is you just installed on your phone and how to use it. And so that is like a little thorn in my side that we're going to be focused on in the next couple of quarters. Way in the back. He was asking, how does the product team break ties? Because he's sure that we get conflicting opinions. We try to debate fiercely and then decide. Part of the reason I think, too, that we do have hierarchy in our product teams, and we rely on product managers to be the ultimate voice of quality, is you need someone who's tacitly in charge in order to break that kind of a tie, or you could end up in a stalemate where you're constantly debating. We also have big company goals. We have these core values that we try to ascribe to, so the PM needs to use those and our product principles as their guiding light. And after debating fiercely, you need to make that decision, and then you have to commit. And we tell people this up front. Yeah. He asked what my response would be to the job-esque idea that people are sheep and need to be led. And this is people didn't know that they wanted the iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we definitely make and are continuing to make bigger bets that are wholly new features. So no user is ever, has ever told us, I really wish that Slackbot could answer simple questions about Slack for me. How useful would that be for you who want to teach me how to use Slack? But we rely in a combination, and this can be what can be difficult about being a PM, especially on the growth team, is that at the same time that you need to design experiments well and look at the data and see whether it answered your question, data can't tell you what to build. So you still also need product intuition. I've interviewed probably 100 PMs over the last year and a half, and there's often a range of people who are really comfortable making decisions based on their product intuition and pretty uncomfortable making them on data or having the success of their intuition be measured. And so having a good balance between being fearless enough and creative enough and being comfortable being vulnerable and putting yourself out there and saying, there won't be any way to tell me whether this is the right thing to build or not, but I believe that it is, and getting buy-in to do that. But then also being comfortable really looking deeply into the data and trying to find the parts of the product that you can optimize. In the back. Yeah. So he's asking, how do we manage the execution on the growth team when we're probably touching a lot of parts of the product? That's a great question. Thank you. We talk to each other quite a bit. So the front-end engineers on my team and the app-end engineers on my team are also have shared goals in their engineering org with each other, and they socialize with each other. We use, as you might imagine, the shit out of Slack, and we are in channels with each other quite a bit. And I think, too, the knowledge that this is a place where it is safe to disagree with someone, and that you can have and should have that debate, and then you make a decision, and then you move on, has been really helpful. We try to extend each other trust and understanding, and that's a big part of moving past empathy and into developing a rapport and camaraderie with the people that you work with. But if you first give people the benefit of the doubt, that ends up taking you quite a long way. Okay, last question in the middle. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question. So his question was, who is our end user? I was giving the example of someone with the really bad boss. Are we focused on the person who created the team or the other users? So what's an interesting and fun challenge about building Slack is we have to be aware of not only the entire team and everyone who's on it, but also what that team dynamic might be. We've seen that the people who create teams tend to be millennials, which makes sense. And my personal theory about this is, the little graph from Crossing the Chasm where you have the innovators and early adopters, and then you move on. My hunch is that exists at every company. And what we have done is get into the minds and the hearts of early adopters. And I think something that we could do a much better job of is helping those people make the case for Slack at their companies, get concentric circles people. But it is useless for us to just focus on someone who created a team. They're already semi-bought in because they're the person who's trying it out. But also we need to help them get value out of it with other people. And that is difficult and challenging.
Merci, that's awesome. Thank you very much. All right. I want to do a quick show of hands. Who here has been here before to a Products That Count event? Yeah. About half of our audience. And then who here has been here at least 3 times? Quite a bit. And who has been here 5 times this year? All right. So you guys who have been here 5 times are members that count for this year. Members That Count. It's a program we sort of improvised last year, and now we really like it, so we want to continue it. It's a program that if you come, 5 times or more to our events, we give you an invitation to our holiday party. You can come in for free. We give you 20% discount to our events for the year after that. So if you're here today, we have 4 more events between now and the holiday party, so you can all become Members That Count. It's cool. I mean, you get a little card and all that. Anyway, so, Merci, that was fantastic. We're going to post the video recording of the talk on our website as soon as it's produced. So usually it's like, Friday or something like that. Feel free to share it with your teams. Now, what I would like to do now is our shout outs. So, what this is 10 seconds where you guys get to pitch whatever you want, to pitch. Whether you're looking for a job, looking to hire someone, have a new startup, looking for money, looking to give away money, looking to get feedback on a project. So if you do have something you'd like to share, please line up here. first couple of people get some giveaway. So please go ahead. Come on up. It's usually one of the popular times, so. All right, you're the first one. You get to pick between one of my books and one of our very popular notebooks. There you go.
Hi, I'm Rob. I head up product at ZenDrive. We're making driving, actual physical driving, safer with mobile data and analytics, and we're hiring a product manager. So if you know a kick-ass PM who might be interested in building things people want with data and analytics, come talk with me.
Hi, can you hear me? Even better. So intimidating. Hi, my name is Jay-Z. Not actually Jay-Z, like my name is Jason, but people at the company call me Jay-Z. It's easier. I work as a product designer at a company called Edmodo. It's a social shout outs for my coworkers. Thanks. Building confidence. But I work as a product designer there. I lead design at the company, and right now we're looking for product and visual designers. So if you guys are interested in looking for a cool new opportunity to make an impact in education, come talk to me.
Hey everybody, my name is Devi and I'm a summer intern here in the Bay Area. I'm interning as a product management intern and I'm looking for a full-time fall internship and a full-time, offer right after my fall internship. So come talk to me, an internship in product management again. So come talk to me after this shout out and I'll show you how I can be a stunning colleague at your workplace. Thank you.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Bruce and I'm looking for a job in product. My background is in fintech and very passionate about the wealth management space. And special is I worked at large companies, I worked startups, I worked in nonprofit, and I've spent the past 4 years traveling the world. Just got the SF. So if you're interested, come talk to me. Thanks.
Hey guys, my name is Jen, and we have a social network for companies where we are improving company culture and employee engagement. So if you want to improve your company culture or you want to be more happy in a job, talk with me and we can implement our system to your company. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Audrey Melnick. I have a company called Funnel Ventures, which is a consulting company for startups. I'm building out this capability called funnel hacking, which is about leveraging all these tools to automate your customer through the conversion funnel and without relying on a developer, which is always the biggest challenge because we've got a huge developer bottleneck. So if you're interested in learning more, I'm giving a talk on August 16th at Galvanize. I think you can search for it on Eventbrite or come talk to me afterwards. I also have a program for placing Australian interns into Silicon Valley startups. So if you're interested in taking one of them, come talk to me. Thanks.
Hey guys, my name is G, and I'm a principal product manager at a company called Glyphy. We make online diagramming software. We're very profitable and we're small. So I'm looking for engineers, director of user experience, and product designers. And we're just down the street. If you're interested, just find me.
Hi, I'm Brina. Monday was my first day after years of working with tech startups to start my own marketing consulting agency. So I focus on content marketing and communication. So a startup in a sense. If any of you need any content marketing help, come find me afterwards.
Hello everyone, my name is Human. I'm a software developer intern at Splunk. For my next internship before my graduation, I would like to do something related to product management and hopefully get into those roles. So if you guys have any offers, positions at your company, I would love to talk to you more about it and learn more about it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jess Falkenthal. I'm looking for a growth marketing role, preferably at an education startup. I've spent the past 3 years consulting in growth marketing for education startups. So Edmodo, I'd love to talk to you, and a few others. So just talk to me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Human. And really, there are two humans in the same room. That is not going to happen very often. So this is really cool. I really appreciate those who went before me because it gave me a little bit of courage to stand up here. So I appreciate that. I am a software, startup to scale, product manager. I've started my own company. I've took it to a global scale, sold it to a company called ShopRunner. I'm looking for a new exciting opportunity in a Series B, C funded, startup who's looking for a principal, product manager to take the product, to the next level. So I'm excited for new opportunities here. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tyler Gordon. I'm the co-founder of Agent Inbox. We are a communication platform for real estate agents, their brokerages, MLSs, and their clients. We're currently opening up the communication platform for third-party vendors that want to offer their services to these real estate agents through a conversational medium. We have over 70,000 agents on the platform. If anybody's building services that they'd like to deliver to a real estate agent audience or their clients, please come talk to me. We're delivering it through either an API or you can also use our web interface. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more shout outs? Okay, come on, guys.
Everyone, my name is Pian Pian. I'm a product manager at TicketWeb, a subsidiary of Ticketmaster. So our team build products that help people who want to go to events have amazing experience, the B2C side, and also the B2B side, which we help small business owners, venue managers to build tools and help them grow their business. So if you're interested, we are hiring a product manager who has 2 years and plus experience. So come talk to me if you're interested to learn more. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Leo. I'm currently doing a research on Stanford with Stanford ACI Group on crowdsourcing platform. I recently graduated from in 2015 from Lancaster University, and our team won the MasterCard Global Hackathon Challenge here from SF. I'm looking to learn from people on products and user experience. So please do let me know if you guys are willing to actually communicate or have a conversation. So yeah.
Hi, my name's Ashley. I'm interning for a tech company this summer, and I'm about to graduate from UCLA in around a year. And I want to go into product management after I graduate. So if you have any offices in LA for fall internships or specific programs for recent grads, I'd love to talk to you.
Hey guys, I'm the last one, so don't worry. My name's David. I work at a company called Marketo. Not looking for too much except actually directly to Merci. And if there's anybody else here who works at Slack, I'm actually very passionate about Slack. There are a few different positions there that I'd be interested in, really excited about the company. And so if there's anybody from HR or anything like that, I would really love to talk with you guys.
Woohoo! All right. I want to thank, somebody over there was cheering for all the shout outs. Who's that? Raise your hand. Okay. I'm going to write, autograph a book for you. Thank you for doing that. This is really cool. So after this talk, I'm actually going to be at the table over there. So if you want to check out my book, I'll sign, copies for you. But, just so you know, I'll be over there. Now, next month, we have a super exceptional speaker. It's Merci was amazing. She's also amazing. And it's another woman in product. We actually have the technical assistant to Google's CEO who's going to come and talk to us about how to build trustworthy AI-powered products. Now, last month, if you were here, I shared with you, we released, we announced our next event the day that we have, the event. And last month was the first time that all of our early bird tickets went, on the first day. Well, this is the second month that, all the early bird tickets are also gone on the first day. So if you want to, listen to what, Aparna has to say, which I think will be really, really interesting, I suggest that you grab your ticket quickly. Anyways, there's another half hour of networking in the back. Enjoy that. There's also some drinks and food left. We are emptying the premises at 9 sharp. We want to be really good partners to Yelp because they're so awesome. And thank you very much. Yeah.